talking about IOC container, right? We are talking about IOC container, basically containers. Why containers are important? And for servlets, we understand that Tomcat is a container or server, in other words. Server again, when I say it is a combination of physical memory, hardware, whereas this is the software which we use, Tomcat for servlets. For EJBs, we use EJB container, example WebLogic, we will use. Whereas for Spring framework beauty is it came up with the self-container. It came up with the self-container. It is having its own container. Like when I go with servlets or EJBs, again I need to depend on somebody else. Here I write code, that is good. But again to run my code I need this software. So in EJBs I can write code, but to run that EJBs I need WebLogic. Whereas in Spring, when you implement Spring code, you know doesn't require any special set of software here. Spring itself is having its own self containers. Came up with its own self containers. So it is always ready to run with its own jar files. It will not depend on any other library or it will not depend on any other separate software. In Spring, you code any module, you use any module in Spring like JDBC or ORM, AOP or MVC. End of the day, they all will run on your IOC containers only. Without these IOC containers, we can't imagine them. So first we should understand the behavior of these containers, how they will behave, what they do for us. That is what we are learning here. So far what we learned, when I designed a end-to-end MVC based application, controller, service, DAOs, blah blah blah, any number of classes you can have. We treat every class is like a simple core Java class only, simple core class, simple Pozo class is sufficient. Spring style is different, whereas other servlets EJB style are different. While writing servlet code, you need to follow some rules and regulations of servlets. For EJBs also, you need to follow their rules and regulations. You are not purely independent. Your classes are not independent. Whereas when you go with these frameworks, your classes are dependent to their frameworks. They will put restrictions, conditions on you. Implement my class or extend my class, implement so and so method. Always they will force you to do some their activities, mandatory activities. Whereas Spring never says do this, that mandatorily. Just implement plain classes. If you need any features on the fly, Spring is going to provide you. If you want, if you don't want, you want to continue with the simple posers, you can implement your application with simple posers. If you want to make your application lightweight, loosely coupled, and end-to-end application you want to implement within very less time, rapid application development if you want to do, then choose this framework. It is going to provide additional benefits to you along with your code. Okay, when I implement, just a minute guys, I'll just come back. Give me a minute. So the thing is here, containers are important for any kind of application, right? Containers are important. They create object, they will manage object for us. So during the Spring based application development, it never force you to implement your classes like servlets, EJBs. Write simple plain classes. This is the first rule. Write your plain classes. Okay. What after? You have to configure your classes into XML file. You have to configure your classes into XML file. You should load that XML file end of the day into your container. Once after writing your POSO classes, right? A class can have variables, methods, constructors, static blocks, blah blah blah. You can have anything in your class. Nobody stops you. Finally, your class should configured into a XML file. Then you have to load it into your container. So here we have three flavors of container: core container, J2EE, web. Names are Bean Factory, application context, web application context. So as soon as I configure my classes into XML, with XML and without XML also we can do. Okay, in advanced level we see without XML also. But end of the day, with XML or without XML, who will be creating your objects is IOC. I implemented my classes are controller, service, DAO, util, configurations. Everything I implemented. What I should do next? You configure all your classes into XML file as the next step. Then after that, load that XML file into IOC. That's it. It will start creating objects. Already we have done an example, right? Let me redo one more example. Can you guys write simple posers and share with me? Simple poser classes. Maybe you guys can type it in chat. Something like this. Public class, student, any name. You can name anything. Employee, public class, bus, car, anything. Write a simple poser class with a constructor. Put a default constructor with the system.out.println. Can you all do that right away? Put some output statement like car object create. Write one simple poser class and share it with me. Are you all doing? Yeah. Give me a simple poser class. Everyone. Quick, quick. Complete it. Put your name also in system.out.println. Put your name along with your class name. Tushar given me one object. Simple class, no constructor, nothing. But still that is a class of poser class only. So Sai shared one company object. What about others? Please write a class and share it with me. I am creating a simple Java project, IOC. Others, please contribute from your side. Write a class and share it with me. Beans. I'm creating a package beans. There I'm pasting your code. Company class is given, right? Yeah, I copied your code here. Company.java. Let's remove this getter setter. I don't have Lombok. Yes, I have. I can use, but yeah, let's leave it. Sai company object. Simple poser class. Yeah, you can have variables also here. That by salary, if you want, you can keep them. If you want to print them also, you can print here. Okay. Oh, I got many. So I got employee class with some variables and one constructor. Cool. Test class given by Srikanth. Consider you all team members, okay? You all as a team doing it. Dikshit given a user class with the parameterized constructor. Okay. Shall I make it default constructor for now? I'll show you parameterized constructor later. So you want to place some methods here. Okay, you can place public void, hello, hi, any methods you can have. Aditya given car class. Okay, anything else? Bank class by Nazia. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I hope everybody able to write, but you guys are not trying. But at least you try in your machine. Okay. I got 6 classes here. If you wish to share, others also can share it with me. And okay. So I'm just adding Spring library here. configure build path, add jar files. As I said, Spring 3 jar files, Spring Core, Spring Beans, Spring Context, Spring Core, Context Support. Usually it will ask to add the remaining jar files also. Let me add. So Spring added. Now you given plain Pozo classes. These all your classes. I didn't ask you to use any framework. Simply you given them with core Java knowledge only. On top of it, I added my framework. I too did not interrupted your classes. As it is, your classes are there. Now creating one XML file here to club all your classes. Create a XML file. As a team, you have done with all your classes. Multiple classes you implemented. But end of the day, all classes need to load it into one container only. So for that reason, I need one XML only here, right? So in this XML, you need to put DTD to validate your tags, just to ensure right tags you are using. We go to Spring Beans jar file. There you can find DTDs. Where is it? Here, here. There is a DTD file. Spring Beans 2.0 DTD file inside Spring Beans jar file under org Spring Framework beans.factory.xml package. In this file, line number 3637. This is DTD. Copy, put here. Doc type definition, which says which all tags we can use here. Basically, XML will have a limited tags, right? You can't put each and every tag. If you put that, nobody will understand your file. So the limited tags which we have here, right, in this file, that tags only you can use. So what tags I can use here? You given multiple Pozo classes. You all given multiple Pozos: bank, car, company, employee, test, user. So for all your classes, I need to configure them here. You given six beans, six or seven. We have six beans. Six beans I can configure inside this beans tag. Not only six, any number of beans you can configure. So the bean, I need to use bean tag. Each one of your class I should configure them. Start with the bank. Configure bank class here. Beans, fully qualified package. Inside beans I have bank class, so beans.bank. And I'll give an ID to this bank. One unique ID for your class. Other classes. I have car class. Car. I have employee class. Employee. I have a company class. Company. I have a test class and user class. Okay. All your classes I configured here with some unique identifier. If you see ID, same ID I am not repeating. If you repeat it, it will beat you. Don't use same ID. If I use, see what happens. If I put test also here, it is giving error. Not only here, during loading time also you will see problem. The duplicate ID is not allowed. Attribute value test type of ID, it is saying must be unique in the document. So try to maintain. Unique IDs. Each class need to have a unique identifier. Now, when I load them, let me write a test package. There I will write my container class. Container class is a self-contained. IOC container. So I want to create all your objects. I don't want to create them directly like car c equal to new car. I don't want to use this core Java logic here. Via I don't want to do this. Constructor car is not visible. See, core Java is unable to find your constructor. Great, because you given default constructor outside the package, it is not allowed. Core Java not able to create it. But if it is a public, you can create, right? You did it accidentally or intentionally, whatever it is. All constructors are protected only. I see. They are not public. Okay. So outside the package, I'm trying to accessing it in a different package. So until unless they are public, you can't access them. Okay. Now the same classes I configured into Spring XML file and load it into your J2EE container application context. AP equal to new class path XML application context. Here you are starting your container. Starting IOC. Here you are starting your IOC container. During starting, pass your XML file here, resources slash spring.xml, and see the magic. Run this. Your bank object Aditya, I don't know which class it is. Aditya object employee Sai, and who is it? 56890. Okay, this is employee ID and salary and name from Sai object. Shrikant object, Dikshit user object. All your objects are created, though they don't have public access. Let me put private access to them. As you all learned from your core Java, private is not allowed outside. Private is not allowed outside, but not to your IOC container. IOC container is so powerful. It can access private members of your classes also. Nobody stops IOC accessing private members. I mentioned private everywhere. Private nobody can access, but IOC can access. Your container is a powerful one. Using reflection API, it will make your private constructor public and it will access. Though you have private constructor also, it is accessing it. End of the day, whatever class it will create object for you. Until unless it is a abstract class or interface. If you have a class, okay, I'll create an object. That is what container says. Container create any class object. How can we access private constructors in a class? You can, but not by using this approach. Not using this approach. This approach will not allow you. But there is a core Java reflection API class.forName. If you guys remember, beans.car. I'm showing you core Java approach in case if you want to access private right? How you can access them. Class dot one name returns you class object. C dot get all get declared constructors. We'll be getting constructors. So then here you need to make your first constructor set accessible true. Then dot new instance constructor dot get declared annotations. Get parameter is new. Get instance. Okay, new instance. So as soon as you call for new instance, it will create object. Let me comment out your IOC container. Private member you have in your car class. Private constructors you have. Private can't access outside. Within the class you can access, but outside no access. You must learn it, right? But I'm trying to accessing it. I write some other different logic and I'm trying to accessing it. Run it. Aditya is executing inside car class. Aditya car object created. How is it possible? Private constructors I can't access. That is what I learned in core Java. But using reflection you can access it. Aditya car object is created. Why I'm telling this core concept is here. You got a confusion here. You got a confusion here. Why or how your application context is accessing them, though they are private. It uses reflection approach only at the bottom. Internally, it will use this approach only, reflection approach. So it can easily able to create your objects. Via the Spring XML file, it will read your name and it will substitute here. Then the remaining code as it is it follows and it creates. So this is how internal algorithm is for your IOC container. So easily it can able to create objects. All your objects are creating. So as a team you implemented, consider one of you implemented a controller and one of your class is DAO, utility, okay, whatever the mentioned classes. You all shared me classes, right? Imagine Aditya class is controller and Dikshit class is service, Nazia class is DAO and others classes like util config. As a team you implemented all these classes. Thereafter, each one of you should go to XML file and your respective class you need to configure there as with the bean tag. Then you can load it into IOC. Once done with all your configurations, right? You and your team configurations are done here. Load it into IOC. Is it a big deal loading it into IOC? Means nothing. One line statement. That's it. You are good to create your objects. As soon as object is ready, basically we create objects for what? Methods only. So here you can have a method public void my car, RD car, bank, public void my account, much amount it is. It's okay. Public void company, number of employees, employee, public void employee department, software developer, test method, follow method. So each of your class is having a method. How I can call that method? Let me write one more IOC class. IOC container 2. I'll remove all these comments. So I'm using container. Using container, I am loading it. Now each object you can get bean. There are two ways, okay, to get your beans. Either using your IDs, whatever IDs you have right here. Using IDs, you can get them. Just give this ID here. It will give you bank object. If I give car ID, car object, employee ID, EMP, employee object, company object, test object, user object, USI. So this is how you can get objects using their IDs. So here you can use their ID to get bank object B. So it is asking you to typecast. This getBean method returns data in the form of object. So you need to typecast it. Bank object, car object, employee object, company object, test object. You all implemented your methods user object and you can access them here. Finally, you got your objects bank, car, employee. So you can call each method of your classes. Bank class. What method we have? My account. Car class. My car. Employee class. Department. Company class. Which method? Number of employee. Test class. My test method. User class. Hello method. So as soon as you load at line number 15, all objects are ready. All objects created. All objects with the singleton. With the singleton rule they created. Means only one object for you. You use it for 100 times, 1000 times, only one single object will be created for you. Okay. As I said, we will talk about singleton. So one object created for you and just getting that objects here. Get objects which are created with IOC using their IDs. That is what I am doing here, getting my objects. Then here calling methods. Finally, my requirement is going to finish here. So my methods are calling from here, account balance, car name, the employee department, company, employees count, test method, hello method. All my methods I can able to access. So the container duty between what it is doing between your class and methods calling, container is helping you to create objects, and that objects it is able to provide to you. Container came in between your implementation and methods calling. What it is doing, it is helping you to create singleton objects. If you try to create a object every time for every account, right? Let's say if it is a bank, you consider your bank class is here. ICICI Bank, you know the customers count. Let me see. Hmm. Customers count, if I ask. Just imagine they have 1 millions of customers. So for each one of user checking balance, account creation may we do one time, but daily we go log in and check our balance, we do recharges, everything. So for each customer, if we try to create one new object, for 1 million it will create 1 million bank objects. As I was discussing yesterday, right, it will unnecessarily occupy a lot of memory, right? And it may not give memory to other classes. It will eat up all the memory, and by some time application also may go hang. They need to shut down and restart it. In interviews, people used to ask questions like, what kind of issues you might have in your application. Today you deployed application, it is working fine, but slowly the application performance is getting down. What might be the reason? You may see such questions. So from this concept, so far what you can say, if your application is having prototype objects, if they are not managed well, today when you deploy there won't be many requests. So one or two users, when they request one two objects only, it will create. But going forward, thousands or lakhs of customers, when they hit, it will create that many objects. Properly, if you don't close that objects, what will happen? That all objects will sit in your RAM only. So it will eat memory. When somebody see her server size, it already eaten memory. They will see huge memory your application is eating. They don't know what's happening with the application. Maybe you can give the answers like, it might be prototype objects that are creating in your RAM, or your objects are made not properly cleaned up. That is the reason application performance is getting low day by day. Okay, so if I go with IOC, no problem. It will create all your objects at a time using singleton principle. Only one object it will create. Okay, only one object it will create, not more than that. So though 1 lakh, 1 million, or 1 crore customers hits also, no issues. It will manage objects very well. That same objects we are using here. Though one customer call this, or 100 customers call that methods, same methods again and again, no issue. Objects created only one time. Methods can be executed any number of times. Your methods executed any number of times, but object created only one time. Is it clear so far? See, objects are created above this line only one time, but your methods repeatedly you call. Same methods repeatedly you call. Call it for millions of times, no issues. Objects are same. So you need not to worry about your objects. They are singleton. Are you guys clear or am I deviating? Okay. Yeah. So that's it. I don't want to go much into it. So yeah, this is how we write our POSO classes and we configure into XML. This is how we do complete application development also. Not a big deal. Usually we avoid these tags also in advanced concepts. Without these tags also we can configure that classes. That is in advanced concepts we'll see. Okay. Um, yeah. So about singleton and prototype we can talk on daily basis. I don't want to go particularly into it. So on daily basis we talk about it. Tomorrow we will see the next concept. Okay. Tomorrow we'll go to the next concept, dependency injection, which is very important. Okay. Don't miss that session. We will talk about dependency injection. Again tomorrow also I'll ask you to write classes. Okay. Small exercise on daily basis we do so that you people will get more confidence. When you see your class is here, you will get into attention and you will follow the session. That helps you a lot. Okay. Please all participate, uh, so that you will be up to date with your session. By end of this course you need not to have much practice also. As you focus much here, you can able to write the code. Yeah, that's it guys for today. We'll catch up tomorrow for dependency injection. Very important concept. Okay. Yeah, the line is open for you. If you have any questions you can ask me. Yeah. So here been getting with ID, so I'm doing typecasting it because ID belongs to bank or car. It doesn't know. I just give an ID. It is not sure whether you used it for car or employee or something. So that's why it is giving finally in the form of object. Object to type conversion I'm doing here. It will give in the form of object. So that object to bank type conversion you need to do here. Object to bank type. In other way, how you can get this object is you can use application context dot get bean class also you can pass directly. You can say there will be a class like bank. There is a class. Give me that class object without ID. I am asking. So this way also you can get it. When you put the class right directly, it will give you bank object. You need not to do typecasting. Here I did typecasting. Here you need not to. Directly you can get. When I give class right, what container will do? It will check whether is there any class in the XML file with that bank name. Yes, there is a class. So directly it will give you that object. With the class you can ask. With the ID also you can ask. Here you have class and ID. So using ID when you ask, it will give in the form of object. You need to typecast. Of course, bank object only it will give, but in the form of object type. You need to typecast it. But when you ask with the class name directly, confidently, it will give you bank object. Second approach looks good, right? Ambiguity. Ambiguity, obviously. But when you have it in other package during import, right? Which package class you will import? That is very clear, right? Yeah. Yes, of course. Remove it, not needed, not mandatory. If I remove ID, then using class name, I can get all that objects without all this typecasting stuff. You can get objects directly. Everywhere if I place it, class. Instead of ID, if I give class, no typecasting also required. This is the second way. Any questions? See, he's asking others. Don't you have any questions? Open up, even if it is a silly doubt, or don't think what others will think, what I think. Okay, when you start opening up, right, you will get confidence. Yeah, Dikshit. um Use this approach with the class name. I obviously recommend it because no typecasting stuff right here. Directly I'm getting object. And even during compilation time itself, I know that whether this bank class is there or not. Let's say if I pass something here, banks instead of bank, it is giving error. So I can realize as a developer, what I can realize from this error, type mismatch cannot convert to banks to bank something. I'm realizing that there is no banks first of all. There is no bank. So there is no bank or something if I give. There is no type. It is saying there is no type. Create a class. So from that errors, I can understand at least this class is not there. Okay, I can put the right class name here. But when I go with the IDs, when I go with IDs, during compilation time, it will never tell you whether that ID is there for you or not until unless you refer your XML file. If we dot get being, I given something ID. Is it showing any error? This ID is not there. Still confidently it is not giving any error. But runtime you will get error, right? This may lead to runtime issues, but this one very less probability to give you errors. So I recommend the second approach. In the first approach, this ID may there or may not there. If ID not there, then you will see error. What is this S test, SJFJ, something it will shout on you. It is giving no such bean exception named. This name is not there. What you are asking me. No bean defined. No bean named. So I'm not confident when I go with IDs whether that ID is there or not. But if I mention class here, no chance to you before compilation itself you will get all the issues here before compilation itself. So no chance of getting no being found when I go with this. So what you recommend? I recommend dot class. Spring even recommending dot class. In advanced coding, right? We never see any IDs. No ID. Okay. I don't want to put that statement because there will be some scenarios as you know you may need IDs, so I can't claim it. You have ID and class two ways. Spring usually use class approach, but sometimes when you need IDs, right, particularly, then IDs you can mention. In very rare scenarios, we use them, but mostly class only, no ID. Okay, I'll tell you ID scenarios, not now, but tomorrow session you will realize why ID again. When I want to refer something from here to there, I want to exchange this bank object to car object to employee somewhere, then I need some references. We talk about it, okay? But no confusion. IDs are required very for few scenarios, very few. Even if you forget that ID concept, also don't worry. Just imagine that using your class name only, you can get your object. Okay? Yeah. What about